What's going on, YouTube? This is Boxingwave, and we are back with the Wave Report number 12. Let's get right into it. All right, first bit of news. Rashidi Ellis has come out and stated that he wants a rematch with Roman Villa. Now, ever since that loss, and that was his first loss, he lost a majority decision against Villa, the unknown Villa. All right, and there's been talks and rumors circulating around the boxing community saying that Jaron Boots Ennis was going to take Villa next. Now, we know that there's a rumor that Jaron Boots Ennis is going to be on the undercard of Tank versus Ryan Garcia. Will it be against Roman Villa? I really don't know. All right, we just have to wait and see and find out. All right, but Rashidi Ellis wants a rematch, and I can see why he wants it. You know, this is a fight that he was winning the first half of the fight, and I feel like Villa had a perfect game plan, kind of surprised him, coming in a lot taller and bigger than the BoxRec records say. And a guy that really didn't have any real big names on his resume. We was kind of unsure of how good he was. All we knew is that he was a fighter that had a lot of knockouts but haven't fought any top-tier fighters. Well, he showed up at the press conference much bigger than we expected. And he can box much better than what we expected as well. At least what we saw in the first half of the fight. He let Ellis burn himself out. And he took over in the second half and even dropping Ellis, I believe, a couple times late in that fight. All right, very good fight, and I think it's definitely worthy of having a rematch. I think Ellis can do better in a rematch. Good. Remember, Ellis wasn't really active leading up to that fight. I think he had one fight in the PBC where, he stopped the guy really, really early, so he didn't really get that many rounds in. So I think he should definitely get the fight. Unless Villa wants something bigger than that. But it would be for a good rematch, and I have no problems with it, But, of course, if Ennis can get the opportunity to fight Villa himself, because, remember, Ennis wanted Rashidi Ellis, and he was calling him out because they were fighting on the same card. But, Rashidi Ellis lost the fight. So that's that, Maybe they'll fight each other down the line. But, yeah, that's that. All right, so moving on to the next bit of news. Callum Smith. All right, he's been ordered. Arthur Beterbiev has been ordered to defend his WBC title against Callum Smith. Now, the problem with this, and this is not new, all right? This is something that was already previously ordered. The WBC already said publicly that Callum Smith was going to be his mandatory. This was before the Anthony Yarde fight. So we already knew about that, but this is holding back from the super fight that we've wanted. The super fight we want is Artur Beterbiev against Dimitri Bivol. Yeah, all these other fights were cool. Canelo Alvarez rematch with Bivol, or, all of these other names that's in the division. This fight here, I'm not saying it's not a good fight because Callum Smith definitely has a puncher's chance for sure. I mean, the way he's knocking out guys at 175 since he's moved up, he looks to be stronger, bigger, stronger, more powerful up there. So he definitely belongs there. With that being said, we don't want to see that fight right now. We don't want to see that fight. These two have been the champions at the division for a minute now. At this point, it's been a minute. Ever since Beterbiev beat Volzdik, I wanted to see this fight. Once Kovalev and Stevenson weren't the top two guys anymore, and Andre Ward retired, I wanted to see this fight. And plenty of us wanted to see this fight, even before they were all unified or, they had these big wins. We've been wanting to see this fight for a long time, all right? And it's been so many hurdles and so many obstacles. And it seems like, even from Eddie Hearn, it seems like none of the as far as the politics and all the people that's involved, the promoters and the sanctioning bodies, it seems like the fans want it, but it seems like all the business guys don't want to make this fight. They're doing everything in their power to stop this fight from happening. And I really don't know why, because I wouldn't think it would be to protect either one of them, because it's like, I think going back and forth with plenty of the fans, there's plenty of fans that think Beterbiev is going to win. And there's plenty of fans that think Bivol is going to win. It's not, I don't think you can clearly predict this fight. Like, it's really a 50-50 fight, And I don't think anyone gets exposed here. I think both of these fighters have proved time and time again that they're legit. So it's not about who's like ducking and hiding. At least I don't see it that way. I think both of these fighters have proven that they're legit. Both of these fighters are pound for pound fighters. How do you have two pound for pound fighters, Spence and Bud, but how do you have two of them in the same division that's been fighting at the same division their whole career, their whole pro career? So this is, in a way, it's even worse than Spence and Bud because these two have been there. And they're both Russian fighters. Maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe they're blocking it because of that. There's a whole thing based on the Ukrainian war that they didn't want, these Russian fighters to have titles. But these two had titles before this war began. So I personally believe that they're blocking the fight to happen because they don't want neither one of them to be undisputed because they're Russian. That's just my personal opinion. Because I just don't see why they're not even trying to let the fight happen at all. They're not even trying to work and make it work. I don't think anyone that's involved outside of the fighters, I don't think either one of them, because they have both stated in interviews that they want the fight. They want Undisputed more. Even Bivol said it out of his own mouth. Like, I care about Undisputed more than fighting Canelo again. But I personally believe that they're being blocked because they're Russian fighters. And I understand, what's going on over there. I get it. But the fans, we want to see the fight. I want to see even if the titles weren't on the line. They would be on the line, but you guys get what I'm saying. It's nothing against Callum Smith because him and Yard and Joe Smith Jr. and, all these guys are good fighters, Callum Smith does have a puncher's chance. All right, you just never know, and I think he is more powerful than Yard, but I don't think he boxes better than Yard. That's just my personal opinion. All right, but I like his chances. Maybe he'll get hit with he get a good clean shot in there. But I think Beterbiev gonna just break him down like he's been doing with every other boxer. Just my opinion. All right, but that's the news on that. So let's move on. Lomachenko and Haney finally officially got a date. It's gonna be May 20th. It's gonna be in Las Vegas. It's gonna be undisputed at 135. And I think it answers a lot of questions. We have Tank and Ryan, which is a super fight because of their popularity and stuff. But this is the undisputed fight. And this is a real fight to me. I think this really answers a lot of questions based on the battle between fans going on for the last 3 years, ever since the franchise title was made. I think now that we're finally getting this fight, it will answer a lot of questions. There's a lot of people that still feel that Devin Haney isn't that good. A lot of people are not giving him credit, even though he's undisputed. I think out of all of the recent 6 or 7 different undisputed champs that we gotten over the years, I feel that Devin Haney is the one that's criticized the most. A lot of people don't give him the credit like they do with Josh Taylor, like they did with Usyk, like they did with Terrence Crawford, or some of the other fighters out there, So I think Devin Haney really needs this fight. I know people are going to still say, well, Loma's old or he's past it, and that's fine. But getting the win is what's important. Let people criticize you for whatever. And as far as Lomachenko, he still has something to prove too, because he lost to Teofimo Lopez. And a lot of people still feel to this day that he was overrated this whole time. So for him to beat Devin Haney, a guy that's young, that's fresh, is undefeated and has been looking phenomenal and getting better, improving with every fight. I think Lomachenko, he's never been undisputed. He's been unified. He's a 3-division champ, and that's great. But this will be the biggest thing of his career is to become undisputed, and prove to the naysayers, because a lot of people that believe Haney is going to win this fight is because they always thought Lomachenko was overrated to begin with. You know, I've been doing videos and content on Loma for a long time, and there's been plenty of stages where people thought he was overrated, even though he's fought great fighters. So with that being said, this is a very important fight, you know, and whoever wins this is the king of lightweight for now, you know. Of course, I would love Tank to get involved in this kind of fight, and you know, some of the guys, some of the other fighters, but this is for the undisputed championship, and this is a real fight. You know, George picked it up. You know, he picked up his titles and he beat Tio, and much credit for him. But Haney went out there and beat him twice in his country. You know, which a lot of fighters do, but every fighter should get credit for that. You know, everyone does. That's why I have Usyk, and I'll never remove him from like my top 2 or 3 pound for pound, because this guy literally traveled around the world and beat everybody in their home crowd. You know, so I love this fight. I can't wait to see it and call it. Probably not gonna go, but I can't wait to call it and give you guys commentary for that fight. All right, real quick. The next bit of news: Kell Brook and Conor Ben has been going back and forth on social media. Only reason why I wanted to bring this up is because, you know, I haven't really talked much about Conor Ben. I haven't updated you guys because I remember when the news first came out of his suspension. I haven't updated anything. I haven't like given you all the stuff with the eggs and all that. I kind of told you guys that when I did my first video, I gave you all of the details that were reported at that time. I gave you my thoughts and I left it alone because, you know, when it comes to these drug-based stuff, I try to not like just stay on it and keep making content on it because I don't have the time to make much content, and I'd rather make content on the actual fights. But looks like, you know, Conor Ben, at least the WBC has, you know, they haven't found anything on this stuff. There's nothing that's ever came out from the British Board of Boxing Control, and they're saying that there's no proof or evidence of any of this. So even though the British Boxing Control is, you know, they're standing down, and this is going to be, you know, I don't know that they're going to give him his license. It's going to probably be a big lawsuit out of this. I mean, I've been following it on the news, but Kell Brook and Conor Ben continues to go back and forth. And remember, they were talking about having a fight before this, you know, even before the Eubank thing. At first, I really didn't have a problem with Conor Ben fighting Kell Brook because at the time, Conor Ben didn't really fight anyone that good yet. You know, I mean, he's making the good fights, the fights he needed to make to upgrade. And like I said, I don't think he was moving as quickly as like the Virgil Ortiz or the Jerome Boots Ennis. But with that being said, now that I think about it, and if Conor Ben does come back and fight like Kell Brook, if he doesn't fight Eubank or anything like that, if his first fight back is like Kell Brook, I'm not really a fan of it anymore. You know, I didn't have a problem with it before, but I have a problem with it now because if he beats Kell Brook, who retired, but he said he will come out of retirement to fight Conor Ben. If he beats him now, it's not gonna really mean anything. Like, he might make a lot of money, you know, because I know Kell Brook and Amir Khan made a lot of money when they finally got in the ring. So they will make their money, you know, especially out there. It's going to be a British fight. This will be a big thing for you guys out there. But if he beats Kell Brook and if he stops Kell Brook, it's going to be like, so what at this point? And I know Kell beat Amir Khan, but Amir Khan wasn't Amir Khan anymore at that point. You know, he was far from it. With that being said, it's not going to really mean anything, you know, because it's going to be like you did what you're supposed to do. Kell Brook is older. He's a lot older, you know, he's taking some beatings, and he was able to finish Amir Khan, but that's, you know, it's not really like, it's like, who cares at this point? So I really don't care for it to be Kell Brook. You know, I really want Conor Ben to mix it up with some of these real fighters that's actively like at the top 10 welterweight. You know, I not for nothing, and some of you might crush me on this, but I would rather see Conor Ben fight Butayev. I would rather see Conor Ben fight Alexis Rocha. I would like Conor Benn to fight David Avenetian. I would like to see him fight those guys that's like, maybe not Boots yet, maybe not Virgil Ortiz. If you don't want to do that, I mean, it could be those two or Stanionis. But those guys that's right underneath them should be good to go. And beating up Kell Brook is going to sell tickets, but for the diehards, I don't feel like you're going to get much respect for beating him now. Like it was like beating Chris Algieri now. It's like he's a former champ, but Chris Algieri outside of Provodnikov lost every time he stepped up. Khan beat him. Pacquiao beat him, dropped him like 6 times. We saw what happened when, Errol Spence pummeled him. We saw what happened when it was time to step up, and that was years ago. So Kell Brook, we saw what happened to him after Triple G, after Spence, after Bud Crawford. What is there left? What is there left? Not much. All right, and that's no big disrespect to Kell Brook, because I really, really, really like Kell Brook. But if you're going to fight someone that's older, try to get Keith Thurman over there. Try to get Keith Thurman. I don't know if Keith is going to really fight Spence in that, but get Keith Thurman, because at least Keith, he's only had 1 loss, and he looked sharp. He's not as active, but he hasn't gotten beaten like Kell Brook. Kell Brook took a lot of damage in his beatings. You know what I'm saying? So I think I like Kell Brook a lot. And once upon a time, I thought he was like the top guy at welterweight. I really did, outside of Mayweather and Pacquiao. But his time is long past, and he's taken a lot of punishment. What is it really going to do? It might be a good UK thing. So you guys out there might feel differently. I know how you guys feel about your fighters. I get it. I've been out there now. But if I'm being honest, there's better fighters out there for Conor Benn, and I don't think these fighters are making him any better, Or Kell Brook might pull off the upset and expose him, But it really doesn't do anything. But it might sell tickets, so I can see why they would have that fight. All right, so next bit of news. Joshua Buatsi, he leaves Matchroom, right? The undefeated British fighter, just beat Spider. And he's leaving Boxer. This is a couple days off. I'm sorry, he's leaving Matchroom to go to Boxer, right? So he's with Ben Shalom. And I listened to his interview, all right, that he did after the presser that they did. And, I went and listened to a little bit of what Eddie Hearn had to say. And I also read the article today on the CEO of DAZN, I believe. Is it DAZN or Matchroom? I'm sorry. Frank Smith. I listened to Frank Smith interview, and it seems like Eddie and them seems like they feel like they were blindsided. They seem to like we was trying to do everything that we can. We offered him $1 million or £1 million fight with Bivol, and we were just trying to give him the best fights. He wasn't as active as they wanted him to be. And, they're just really disappointed. I don't think they were really dissing him. But when I listened to his interview, he seemed to be a bit frustrated at the fact that Eddie Hearn put those details out there about him turning down the fight and the purse with Bivol. And you guys got to remember, and you got to remember, too, this was right after the fight with Spider. They basically, Virgil Hunter, who's his coach, basically said that he did not want him. He didn't think Joshua was ready enough to fight Dimitri Bivol. And I think this was after. Was this after Bivol had already? I think this was after Bivol had already beaten Canelo. You know what I'm saying? So I can see why you would not want to fight Dimitri Bivol. So and especially because of Craig Richards' fight, the fight with Spider, like that was it got really competitive for the second half of the fight. Like Josh was starting out good, he was winning, seemed to burn out a little bit, and Craig Richards started to pick it up a little bit. So, with that being said, the Craig Richards fight was back in May. So I don't know which came first. I'm not going to do all this research right now, but he seemed in the interview to be really bothered by that information. And I think it's because of all the criticism he's getting from the boxing fans. It looks like it was a duck, and I think all of this, to be honest, I think all of this is part of him dismissing the Dimitri Bivol fight. You was offered a lot of money to fight Bivol. It was a title shot opportunity on top of that. Everything would have worked out pretty easily, as far as the politics. And you didn't want to take the fight, and your coach didn't want you to take the fight. And I think the pressure of taking that fight got to him. I know he said something in the lines of, well, it was more than just that. He said, with Eddie and what they've said in different interviews, it's not just about the Bivol fight. He said that they wanted to sign, if I had took that deal, I would have had to fight, I would have had to be on the contract for another 3 to 4 fights. And that's something he mentioned in the interview that I saw. And I was like, yeah, but they got a great stable over there, And he also mentioned something about viewership. He felt that being on the app, on the Zone, and being on Matchroom, he felt like he wasn't getting the amount of views that he deserved for a fight. He felt like being with Boxer and being on Sky Sports, he would get more viewership, like more people would see his fights. So, look, you can go either way. It's his career. It's his career. It's just that going over to Boxer, it's not like Ben and them, they got a lot of fighters. They put on a lot of good fights. But when we're talking about 175, the majority of the guys at 175 and even 168, a lot of those guys are with Matchroom, or they're with, they're fighting on the Zone. So if you're going to sign with Boxer, besides Dan Aziz, because I went on their website and I looked myself, that's literally the only fighter they have over there. And not saying that's not a bad fight, but that's not on a level of what was available over there with Matchroom. Canelo has fought at the division twice. There's always that opportunity. Of course, there was the Bivol opportunity. There's Zurdo over there. There's Callum Smith over there, another British fighter. There are more opportunities over there. I'm not saying that those opportunities can't come in the future. Maybe they can. But it would be a little bit harder now because they're competitors. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to the politics, So it's his career. I don't know none of us know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know what Boxer is paying the man. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they paying him more. Or maybe he really wants to be with Sky Sports. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But it sounds to me like they didn't really want to do it. And I'm basing that on his own coach publicly saying that he not being ready to fight Bivol. And me personally, I don't think he's ready to fight Bivol. I don't think he was. And I've said this before the Canelo fight. I've said this for a while now. That I didn't think Joshua Buatsi was ready for that kind of fight. Just my opinion, though. He might be in position to do it, but do I think he's ready? I don't know if he's really world level yet. And Bivol is pound for pound level. It's top tier. There's world level. There's top tier fighters, and you got pound for pound level fighters. He's one of the best fighters in the world. I don't know if he's ready for that yet. That's just my own opinion, and that's the reason why I'm not going hard at him, because I don't think he's ready. Even if the opportunity, the money's there, I don't know if his coach is clearly not confident enough, and I'm not sure if he's confident enough for the fight. All right. But it is what it is, man. So let's move on to the next topic. Let's talk about Triple G, man. I don't know how I feel about this news, but I don't really like it that much. I'm going to be honest. I don't really like it that much. Triple G, he's vacated 2 of his titles now. He had 2 mandatories, and they were willing to work each other to work these out months ago. Falcao was the IBF mandatory, right? Triple G was unified I think he got his titles from beating Derenchenko and beating Murata, all right, recently. So he held the IBF and the WBA titles at 160. So when he went up to fight Canelo, even though he lost, he retained his titles because those titles weren't on the line. That fight was at 168. Only Canelo's belts was on the line. So he had two mandatories, and the two sanctioning bodies were willing to work together and let Gennady Golovkin fight both fighters without being stripped. So the order was going to be he was going to fight the Brazilian Falcao, and he was going to fight the Cuban Lara, who was the WBA world champion. Right, Golovkin is the super champion, and he first vacated the IBF title, which was against Falcao. And then WBA went out and made Lara the mandatory. Since you're not going to fight Falcao like we agreed with, you have to fight Erislandy Lara. And now he's vacated that title, so he's strapless. And now he is the number one fighter in the WBC rankings. Now, Jermall Charlo is still the WBC champ. Even though he's out, he hasn't fought since the summer, I believe the summer of 2021. He didn't fight all last year. And he hasn't fought this year. He doesn't have a fight scheduled, and we don't know what's going on with Charlo. I hope he's doing well, man. I don't think he's doing well, but I hope he's doing all right. I hope whatever. I know he has a lot of personal issues going on. So, but Carlos Adames is the interim champion. I don't know if he won that against Derenchenko, but I know he is the interim champion right now. Basically, he is the champion while Jamel is out. Or Jamel defends the full champ at 160. With that being said, what was this move for when it comes to Triple G? What is the move for? And why are you doing it now? What are you doing now? Remember, I know, making content the last year or 2 years or so, where I've basically told you guys that the middleweight division was the worst division in boxing, and I believe that. I think it still is. It's the worst division in boxing because no one fights each other there. Everybody is just maneuvering around, and the champions don't unify. And I remember when Triple G unified against Murata, everybody was like, whoa, Triple G unified. What are the other guys doing? What is Andre doing? What's Jermall Charlo doing? What is Jaime Munguia doing? What's Chris Eubank Jr.? I get it, right? Cool. But what's the point of unifying if you're just going to drop the belts anyway? You win the titles, right? You win one title, and I don't, it's not like the Murata fight was a good fight. I have no problem with that fight. In fact, I didn't have a problem with the Derenchenko fight. I don't have a problem with the fight. But you're kind of cherry picking, because you're willing to fight for the titles for specific people. But for others, you won't. Or to defend them, you won't. You won't defend them titles against. And it's not like I'm sitting here desperately trying to see a Falcao fight. I'm not sitting here desperately trying to see the Lara fight. I mean, I would like to see that over the Falcao fight. And I don't mind the fight because that was a fight that I wanted 10 years ago. I really wanted that fight 10 years ago when everybody was ducking Golovkin at 160. So I really wanted that fight at one point. Because Lara from 154 was like the only guy outside of Andre Ward that called out Gennady Golovkin at that time. But now it's like, you're 40-something years old. You're at least 40. You lost to Canelo. And I get it. You're saying you still want to keep fighting. That's cool. But what are you chasing at this point? What is this? What are we doing here? Because the Adames fight is not a bad fight. It's no better than the Lara or the Falcao fight. It's a good fight. All right? It's a good fight there. But what are you doing? What does this mean? If Adames is the interim champ, is Triple G going to skip the line to go towards Charlo's belt? And Charlo is a guy that you had never had any interest in fighting. Your old coach didn't have you in interest because there's interviews out here where they were not interested in fighting Jermall Charlo. But Jamal Charlo is not like any type of boogeyman right now. He's inactive. He didn't look great in his last fight. He has a bunch of personal issues, possibly having mental health issues. He's pretty much like, if you're gonna beat him, this is the time to do it, especially if it's his first fight back. So what exactly is the plan here? Like, did you have to get rid of your titles to become ranked in the WBC? Like, what is the motive here? Why would you just throw your titles away like that? What's the motive? I have no idea. We just gotta wait and see. So I don't like this decision, but I'm trying to wait and see where this is going. Erislandy Lara is going to fight Michael Zarafa for the full title now. So he's going to be full champ if he wins against Zarafa. I haven't seen Zarafa since he lost to Jeff Horn, so I'm not sure exactly what he's doing. But it's disappointing news because this division continues to be a cherry-picking division. Everybody is just tiptoeing around each other, maneuvering, trying to fight the easiest fights they can take for the most money. You got guys like Janovic out there who had a mandatory in Liam Smith, but Liam Smith is already, probably going to have this rematch with Eubank Jr. I don't know if it's been announced officially yet, but that's going to happen. Demetrius Andre moved up to fight Zach Parker just to not fight Zach Parker. It's just Jaime Munguia is literally fighting the worst people on the planet that they could find. I'm waiting for them to give me a call because I'll take the fight next because he's literally fighting anybody. I don't know what's up with this division. I have no idea what's going on. It's sad. It really is sad. But let's see if he fights Carlos Adames, because if Jamal Charlo is unavailable, and I don't know how long he's going to be unavailable, but the Adames fight is not bad. Adames is already scheduled to fight J-Rock. So I really don't know what is going on with this, man. All right, but it looks to me like he's cherry picking and he's avoiding fighters that he just doesn't have an interest in. Yeah, you are unified, but what's the point of being unified if you're still being extremely selective on who you defend your titles against or who you unify with? Who you unify with. Because there were other champions throughout the years of you being at 160 that wanted to face you that you didn't face. All right. So I'm disappointed because I am a Golovkin fan, but it doesn't matter who I'm a fan of. I'm going to tell you how it is every single time, no matter who I like. I'm a Golovkin fan, but he's kind of on some bullshit right now. All right. Even at 40-something years old, and I get it. A lot of these fighters want an exit plan, but where's the exit plan? Where's the big fight for you to drop those 2 belts? Did you have to drop those 2 belts in order to do whatever it is you're trying to do? I know those mandatories, they were mandatories, and I get it, but I just can't wait to see who that fighter is that he's going to face next. Hopefully it's someone special because I don't see the point. All right. So let's get on to the next bit of news. Moving right along, Adrian Broner, he signs with Don King. We already know that, he's not with Al Heyman no more. He's not with the PBC no more. He's made videos talking about the PBC, a lot of videos, a lot of content, basically exposing them and their failure to pay their funds. Then he goes to Black Prime, and, they had a Red Cash fight. That didn't happen. Then they try to replace him with Hank Lundy. That didn't happen. And I think it was Michael Williams Jr. That didn't happen. And now he was left without a deal. And now he's with Don King, the legend, Don King. How do I feel about it? I don't know how I feel about it. You know why? Because I don't know who he's fighting. I don't know what's going on. I know he's getting paid to fight someone. I don't know who. I hope he's staying in shape. It's going to be real short. But as far as Don King, I don't know what fights he can deliver at this stage. I'm not paying attention thoroughly to what Don King is doing and what fights he's having. The last 2 fights I think I saw where he was really involved with was the Trevor Bryan fight against Daniel Dubois, which was crazy. That arena that looked like a high school basketball court, and there was nobody in the bleachers, and I'm not trying to say like Daniel Dubois is no, like, I'm not trying to say he's like some superstar or something like that, but I bet you if he had that fight out in the UK somewhere, I'm sure that shit would have been filled up. Wherever it's, maybe not the O2, I don't know, but that was terrible what I saw. And I saw a Junior Makabu fight a couple fights ago, where again, like, I don't think Don King got that juice that he used to have, but if he has the money to pay Broner to get into a fight, hopefully Broner's involved in a good contract and he can just get a fight. I mean, it's really not much I can really say about him. I'm surprised he ain't get with Matchroom or maybe one of the British promoters, or I don't know if Bob gave him a call. I don't know who gave him a call, but I did a long extended video about this and the history of Broner. And, I even went back to the Rock Nation, thing and all this stuff, how they offered him a lot of money for a bunch of fights. It's just sad, man. I just hope he can secure some money while he can still fight. And I hope whenever he comes back, I hope he looks good so he can keep getting paid. I mean, I want to see him win, but like I said in other videos, I can't keep wanting Broner to win more than he want to win. You know what I'm saying? As a fan, you want to see Broner win, but like when he just keep doing stuff to get in his own way, it's like you gotta have some accountability, bro. And stop burning bridges. I mean, I know a lot of people was real happy to hear like all this stuff about funds when it came to the PBC, because that's what they wanted to hear for years, and it definitely fits. It definitely helps a lot of arguments people made. I get that. But Broner, if you can't work things out with people, don't burn them. It's just not a good look. It's not good luck for you, just in case you guys want to do business again. And it's not a good look moving forward, because some people just look at that and be like, yo, that's messy. I don't want to touch that. Sometimes you cut people off based on how they do what they do against other people in other situations that don't involve you. And I feel like when I see that, like if I'm a businessman, I'm like, man, I don't want to get involved with this stuff, because this guy, he might get involved. He might have a lawsuit tomorrow. He might get locked up tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen. Or he might pull up for a fight. Or he might show up overweight. I don't know what Broner's about right now. You know what I'm saying? He's like not really reliable like that. And plus, when business fall apart, he goes out and tells all. I mean, I understand he being real, but it's bad for business, especially when you're looking for a new home. I don't know, man. I wish him the best of luck, man. Him and Don King. I hope they can secure him some solid fights. I know he wants to be champion again at 140, but it's gonna be tough. It's not gonna be easy, But maybe they can secure the Regis Prograis fight. I mean, Don King. I don't know how Don King is with Pro Bellum or whoever Regis is with right now, but make it work. All right. Fury and Usyk. I haven't been covering this that much because I kind of just like, it's just too much that's being said, right? And it's too much to follow. But for right now, it seems like they agreed to 70-30. The last thing I checked, they agreed for 70-30 for Fury, right? And there's no rematch clause, all right? Now, Tyson Fury came out publicly and said, these guys are holding it up because they want a rematch clause. The Usyk came back and responded and was like, nah, your team wanted a rematch clause. We don't want it. Listen, I don't know what's going on. All I know is that when it comes to like making for these Fury fights, and I mean not the ones that he just picked, not like Derek Chisora, not the ones where they just like, yo, shake hands, all right, we doing this. Now I'm talking about the fights like with the Wilder fight, the third fight, the Joshua fight, now the Usyk fight. It seems like these fights with the bigger names is always a problem. Even if you're a Fury fan, you got to admit, like, how come there's an issue every time Fury's trying to make a fight with someone? It's always some crazy issue. With that being said, I just want them to make the fight. Are you guys fighting or not? You know, and now I'm hearing stuff like, yo, if they might not even, they might push the date back. And I don't think that would be a smart move to push it to a further date because there's a lot of boxing that like this. The boxing schedule is crazy from April all the way into May, especially with the amount of pay-per-views that's going to be out there. I mean, we get a pay-per-view coming up between Plant and Benavidez soon. We got Canelo. Canelo gonna fight John Ryder the week after. There's a lot of stuff going on in boxing. So they need to keep that date, especially because there's a pay-per-view before Canelo. It's bad enough we're going to get 2 back-to-back pay-per-views, but you want to have your pay-per-view ahead of theirs. So they need to keep that date. As far as the 70-30, I'm going to be honest. I did not think for 1 second that this fight was going to be 50. I saw I'm going to get, because I got tired of it with Crawford and Spence. I'm tired of sitting here talking about who should get paid more. I'm tired of that, right? So, but I'm going to be honest. There was no point where I ever thought that Usyk was going to get paid 50-50 of Tyson Fury. I'm going to be honest. I like Usyk and everything, and he's chill, and I'm sure he's not the issue here. I don't believe he's not, but I did not think at any point that 50-50 was going down. I think there's nothing wrong with trying to negotiate that and fighting for it. But there was no point where I ever thought it was going to be 50-50. I was thinking maybe 60-40 at best. At the very best, 60-40. But I know he's coming in with 3 titles to Tyson's 1 and linealship. But there was no point where I thought that this was going to be a 50-50 fight. So as far as it being 70-30, it is what it is, man. It is what it is, man. I mean, if he's agreeing to it, more respect to him. Because we already know he's about his legacy for real. Fury is kind of about his legacy. Because what disappoints me about Fury is that he's so quick to just walk away from Undisputed. He doesn't seem like he wanted that bad. It seems like with every fight, everything has to be his way. He doesn't seem to care about the titles that much. He's willing. I mean, look, at one point, he turned the WBC down when it came to the Wilder rematch. Or it was a Dillian White fight or something. Like, it was, I'm talking about like back in 2020 or something. He don't care about the titles like that. He don't care about all this legacy stuff. Fury will go on about his business and fight whoever he wants to fight. So as great of a fighter as he is, I'm not taking away from his greatness. In fact, I think he's going to win the fight with Usyk. I think he's going to win. But part of his greatness and his talent, I don't think he cares about legacy and all that stuff. I don't think he cares about Undisputed. He's quick to just walk away from it. Just like that. And it's like, I feel like publicly, I'm basing this off what he publicly says. He doesn't seem to care. He'll call up, he said, I'll call up Daniel Dubois. And that still bothers me. How is Daniel Dubois next up when Joe Joyce beat the hell out of him? I know Joe Joyce got a fight coming up with Zhilei Zhang, but Joe Joyce, he's fighting to stay active. He's been a WBO mandatory. They waiting on this Undisputed fight. And the rematch clause with Usyk and Joshua held everything up. So the guys got to fight. But Daniel Dubois? Like, why? Why is he even a mandatory at this point? By beating Trevor Bryan? Come on, man. Daniel Dubois? Come on, man. Title? Against Fury? Come on. That's ridiculous. Over Joe Joyce? Joe Joyce is way more deserving of that title. All right? If it's not like maybe Andy Ruiz or something like that, Joe Joyce is up for the title right now. Real talk. All right, and last but not least, and this is the news that popped out right before I started this video. Zurdo Ramirez, right before it popped up, they canceled the fight Saturday against Gay Rosado, fight that I just made content on. Fight is over. Zurdo popped up on a pre-weigh-in, weighing 7 pounds over. All right, he was 182 and a half or something like that. So when I said that I thought this fight was a little bit too much, even though Zurdo's coming off a loss, I thought this was a too much of a step down coming from his first loss. It makes me wonder now, like, damn, mentally, maybe that fight did something to him. Because for you to be at 175 and randomly show up to a weigh-in weighing 7 pounds over, is it because of Gabe? Or is it because you're just not passionate about fighting right now? I don't know what it is. It might be a little bit of both. Or it could be one or the other. But what makes you show up for a fight, for a weigh at 7 pounds over? So the fight's canceled. They're moving. They're going to keep the event. Jojo Diaz is going to be against Hesta. That's going to be the main event. But yeah, Zurdo, come on. What are you doing, man? That's embarrassing. 7 pounds, bro. 7 pounds? What are you doing? You know, and Oscar De La Hoya is talking all this shit about Canelo. Bro, look at your fighters right now. Look who Jaime Munguia is fighting. Roger Ortiz, I like him a lot, but yo, he ducked Bud twice. What is he doing? He's fighting Stanionis. Good fight, but you ducked Bud twice after calling him out. And then you got Zurdo. He's showing up. He's blown up. He doesn't even want to be prepared for the fight. He don't respect Gabe that much, or he just don't care at this point. Maybe Gabe level fighters is what he needs to be doing. Maybe he needs to stay down there. Because the way he comes up unprofessional like that, why should he be fighting another top fighter? I mean, listen, he lost to Bivol, but you know, we still want to see him in a lot of other fights. I'd love to see him against Joshua Buatsi or Anthony Yard or Callum Smith. There's plenty of fights that's for him, man. Like, what is he doing? You know? I don't know, man. Crazy. So that fight is off. But the card is still on. They'll still be on the zone Saturday night. All right, so that's it for the Boxing Wave number 12, man. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, please smash the like button if you like the content. And hit me on the social media, all that. And if you guys like to donate, you know, hit me on the Snapchat. What's it called? The PayPal and the Venmo. All of that information is in the description for people that like to ask every once in a while. All that is there. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Y'all have a good day. Peace.